Hi, Gareth.
Hi.
I'm just going to go straight in. Borderline slanderous was what Jonas Eideval said about your comments. What do you make of that, and do you still stand by those comments?
Stand by his? Nah, look,
your
I think...
comments of bullying,
look,
and what do you make of his comments?
I've been asked about that already, and I think it's time to move on. I think we've said what we needed to say. The press have had their little bit with it as well, so I think it's time to move on.
He's still waiting for an apology. He's just done a press conference. Is he going to get one?
That's not something I want to share. I think, look, it's time to move on. We've spoken about it. I made comments. He's made comments. It's time to move on and draw a line under it.
Have you both learnt from it?
Learn what?
Learned from the situation. I've
learned it's time to move on. There comes a time when you have to move on, and I've certainly learned that it's time to move on. We've got a game at the weekend.
What about the game? Does it have a problem that needs addressing?
Well, I've always stated that, you know, we need to be respectful. We need to be respectful of each other. Sometimes the passions overrun, of course. I understand that. But I think ultimately, you know, we need to own our actions, and I think being respectful is the main one. So yeah, of course, nothing changes on my thought process with that. And I think there are ways that we can be better. You use the rugby and the way that they operate. I think the respect shown to officials and each other, I think, is very, very high. And obviously, there's probably things that we've been allowed to get away with, players and head coaches, for too long. So, of course. And I think, you know, the officials are trying to address it, and in certain moments they have this season, and in others potentially not. So it's just a work in progress, and I think that's, as long as we're all working together to make the game better for everyone, I think that's what we're looking at.
Just finally on this, there's clearly more scrutiny than ever before, which in a sense is a good thing. But do you kind of admit it's not been a great look this week?
Like I said, I think it's time to move on. Absolutely. There's enough been said about it. Let's move on to the game, please.
Okay. Well, before we move on to the game, I'd like to ask you about FA Cup money. It's seen quite a significant increase. Enough?
You know, what is enough? I think it's so difficult. I did see something briefly on it this morning. I can't remember off the top of my head facts and figures, but I think the fact that it's an increase is a good step forward. There'll always be this argument, is it enough or not?
Total, I think, is now £6 million in prize money for the women's game, as opposed to 20 million for the men's. Gone up from 3 million.
I'd look at where we were. It's gone up from 3 million. Well, it's doubled. I think that's progress. Again, I don't want to be held to account over my words of it's enough, it's not enough. I think it's progress is what I would say.
Should we talk about the game then?
Be nice.
I'm interested in Kira Keating. She was obviously very upset at the end of the last league game. How has she been? As a coach, what can you say to her in moments like that?
Oh, a lot. I think I can say a lot to her, and you know, I can really reinforce what we all think of her here at the club. She's an amazing prospect. She's a very good goalkeeper. We see loads of mileage in terms of where she can go to with her game. So yeah, it was just support, and that, you know, we back her, and these things happen. They'll happen again, unfortunately. But I think her reaction after the goal went in was amazing, you know, for that remainder of the game. And then obviously, once we know that the game is done, then that's when the emotion sets in a little bit. But yeah, of course, she's been good this week. She's ended up having to support Sandy, which she did brilliantly on Wednesday night, because Ellie was unfortunately ill. But Ellie's been back in with us today, which is good. And yeah, the atmosphere with the goalkeepers is very good at the moment.
Any other team news that you can share? Alex Greenwood?
Alex has been assessed. It's a daily one. We'll know a little bit more tomorrow. It's quite tight for the weekend, but you know, she's out on the pitches with us. Obviously, she's limited in the aerial stuff that she can do to try and protect her in that space. But yeah, we'll know more in 24 hours. Demi's back with us. Was on the bench on Wednesday night. And again, it's great to have her back with her experience and the way she helps the girls.
And I guess with Alex, if there's the slightest of risk, it's just not a risk worth taking when it comes to heads, is it?
No, absolutely not. No, it's always, when there's a doubt, there is no doubt for me. I think it's really wise to be sensible in particularly of that type of injury.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions from Zoom? Louise.
Hi Gareth, you okay?
Hi, yeah, good, thanks.
Good. Can I just ask, Wednesday night, the Liverpool game, how was that for you?
I think there was a lot of really good things. We've spoken as a group about the kind of things we need to improve on, and I thought we showed real glimpses at times. I mean, don't forget, we made quite a number of changes, similar to what we did in the first game against Everton. And there'll always be things that we can improve for sure, but I thought there were some really good parts in the way that we played. Liverpool were probably surprised us a little bit in that they didn't come out and engage full pressure as we expected them to, but I think that's a compliment to us in the good things that we're doing, and gave us probably a bit more respect than, not that they didn't show us respect before, but maybe give us a little bit more space than probably what we've had previously. So I think that shows that we're moving in the right direction. And that, I said to the players afterwards, we've had 2 tough away fixtures in that competition, made lots of changes, and to go out and perform the way we did and score the goals that we did and put 6 points on the board is fantastic.
I suppose Brighton as well, they're quite aggressive. What do you make of them this season? They've had they gave United a hard run, didn't they, last week?
Yeah, aggressive in moments. Sometimes can sit off also. Seen against Chelsea, seen against United that they were a bit mixed in what they did, and yeah, of course they made it difficult for United and nearly held on to get an impressive 3 points. But I think new coach in there with some new players. I mean, obviously Vicky's there, who we know really well, and quite a few new signings, and they've made a decent start to the season. And of course, it's a good game for us to have, and it's one that we're looking forward to, back on our home soil.
Awesome. Just one more for me, if that's okay. You've had a really good record against them. Does that give you a bit of extra boost, of extra confidence, or do you just disregard that because of how fast the game's going and growing?
Yeah, maybe, and also the fact that the team changes quite a lot year on year. Of course, I think it's something that's nice to have in terms of our record against these opponents, but it doesn't really count for much at the weekend, and we know that we have to go out and play our way and earn our stripes, if you like. So I think we don't rest on our laurels with that one. We've just got to make sure that we're really highly competitive and ready to hopefully dominate as much as we possibly can.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Good luck at the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Louise. We'll go to Rach from Girls on the Ball.
Hi guys, just one from me about Brighton. You touched on it there. In the Chelsea game we saw they were obviously quite defensive in the first half, but then the second half they came out again. There's almost like an inconsistency sometimes in the way they played throughout a game. How do you prepare for that as a team?
Yeah, like you say, it's preparing for both kind of phases, really. Where they play with a back four like they did against Tottenham, where they play with a 5 more noticeably like they've done against most of the teams. So of course the players we have here have prepared against numerous types. We were expected to play against a 5 or a 3, whichever way you want to look at it, against Liverpool on Wednesday night, and they ended up playing a back 4. So, and the players adapted really quickly. So I think it's we always train for the inevitable. We try to give the players some understanding of what we're likely to see, particularly with individuals, and the way, the identity of a team in terms of how they press and how they build, to help the players. But like I said, I'm really, really impressed with the group of players we've got this season, that when that's happened and something different has cropped up, they've handled it extremely well.
And just, one on their striker, particularly Turner, has been particularly effective and clinical while they may not be creating a lot of chances. When she does get the chance, she tends to be quite clinical. So, not just looking at your forward line, but your defensive line, if they may not be creating many, but you need to be switched on, I guess, right the way through. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's everything you say is spot on, and we never go into any game neglecting the opposition, regardless of who they are. And of course, we need to be really good at the top end of the pitch and really good in the in the defending third as well. So absolutely nothing changes in how we approach the game. We know we have to earn it. You know, we know that we're going to have periods of the game where we're going to dominate, but we have to be highly vigilant for the dangerous players that they have in the team.
Okay, thank you very much. Best of luck.
Thank you.